Hi, I'm Margie and welcome to my kitchen. Today I made a pumpkin cheesecake. And although this might look a teeny bit dark on the top, it's really perfectly baked. It bakes at 350 for about 55 minutes, 60 minutes. And this is just, it's very, I don't know if you can see, but it's very nice and soft but firm at the, where the custard is in the center, and it's just absolutely delicious. Yesterday was Halloween, and I wanted to start off the holiday season by making this cheesecake. So I'm going to get started and show you how I did it. This recipe calls for a springform pan. This is a springform pan. Okay, it comes in, there's two parts, and on the side there is this latch, which makes, a springform pan is really just a band, and this spring helps to lock the bottom in place. Okay, so that's the bottom. And so, I don't know if you can see inside, if I do the spring, you're going to see the little, I've opened it, now I've closed it. See right there? Just makes it smaller. There's a groove inside the bottom of your springform, and that's where this edge that comes up is going to fit into that groove. So you lay your base down, and I have my springform open. I lay it down on top of it, and then I close it. Now that's in there real tight. Line the bottom of my pan. This is just a grease pencil. And I'm just going to mark the bottom. And this mark that I made is bigger than the base. So I'm going to cut inside it. That way I won't have the grease marker touching my food. I might have to cut it a little more or not. Okay, so that fits nicely. The crust for this pumpkin cheesecake, 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Here is 3 tablespoons of brown sugar and 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Here I have graham crackers. These are just an original graham cracker. There's no cinnamon in it, but I would imagine that if you got a cinnamon graham cracker, you wouldn't need the cinnamon that I have here. Now I'm going to crush up these graham crackers. I'm using a zippy bag to put some in. I'm going to use a rolling pin to squish them up until they turn into crumbs, very fine crumbs. Just take your time. It looks like one package is just about 2 cups. I'm just going to crush the rest of these up and I'll save them for another day. But I'd still need 1/4 cup more. With a wooden spoon, I'm just going to combine my brown sugar and my cinnamon and my crumbs. You don't need much sugar in this recipe because graham crackers are already sweet. Now I'm going to add my butter. Stir it until it all gets wet, then we'll put it into our pan. So this crumb crust can be used for pies. This is a universal recipe. You may not want to use the cinnamon if it's not a spicy type of a dessert. Like you might not want to use cinnamon in a chocolate pudding pie. So try to get it evened out, and then you can start using your fingers to bring it up the sides. Just start pushing it out. You want it to be even, and the crust does not have to go all the way to the top of this edge. Just kind of run your fingers out to the edge so it pushes the crumbs to the outside, and then press it against the side. Usually right in this area the crust will be very thick, so just remember to try to push it in over there so you don't have a lot of crust right at that point. Just keep working with it. So this looks very nice. I tried to make sure it was very even. If the cheesecake comes up a little over the crust, that's okay. I'm going to bake this at 325 for 10 minutes. So here's the crust all baked. When we bake this cheesecake, we're going to bake it in a water bath. So I'm going to start by taking a piece of aluminum foil, and I'm going to bring it up around the sides of the pan. Because remember, this is springform, and you don't want any water to get into the pan. Okay? Shiny side of the aluminum foil in. And now I'm going to put it into a roasting pan, and I'm going to pour hot water in later, right before we bake it. All right? This pumpkin cheesecake calls for 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, just 1/4 teaspoon of clove, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and my favorite spice, which is nutmeg, only 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Here I have all the ingredients collected for my pumpkin cheesecake. I have a 15-ounce can of pure 100% pumpkin, and I have 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, 1 cup of sugar, 3 eggs, my spices that we measured together, and this is 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla. To my spices, I'm also going to add 1.5 tablespoons of flour. We're going to start with our cream cheese. Everything should be room temperature. I'm going to add the sugar to this. I'm going to add my vanilla to my cream cheese. I always like to add the vanillas or any of the flavorings to the fat. Now I'm going to mix in 1 egg at a time. You just want to beat it slowly, otherwise you get too much air into it. Now we're going to add the spices and the flour. And now I'm going to add the pumpkin. I think that's just about it. I can fold in anything else that's not mixed in. I'm just going to take a look at how it looks if I fold it a little bit. Let's make sure it's all blended. Go ahead and take your little sprayer from your sink and just go ahead and put as much water in as you need. This is very hot. Just want to go up about 1.5 inches up the side of your pan and go ahead and put it into the oven for about an hour. You want the sides to be cooked, but the center is going to be a little jiggly because when you take it out, it's going to continue to cook. This is the pumpkin cheesecake straight out of the oven. I'm going to let it cool completely before I remove the sides.